My girlfriend said, "My friends think you're just dead weight." I nodded. "Then don't carry me." I left without arguing. What one of them said right after made her smile disappear instantly. I'm 36, been in a relationship for 3 years, and I just learned that sometimes the fastest way to lose someone is to let them think they've already won. Melissa and I met through a mutual friend at a barbecue in Nashville. She was 33, ambitious, worked as a digital marketing coordinator, always surrounded by her professional women's circle from her networking group. I run my own HVAC and electrical contracting business, which means my income fluctuates seasonally, but averages between $85K, $120K annually. Winter months are slower, summer and spring keep me booked solid with residential and light commercial work. The first year and a half were solid. We'd spend weekends working on the house we bought together 18 months ago, trying new restaurants in Music City, taking trips when my schedule allowed. Her friends were always around, which was fine initially. They were loud, competitive, and treated every monthly wine night like a performance about who had the most impressive career update. I didn't love the dynamic, but I tolerated it because Melissa seemed happy with their tight-knit circle. Our mortgage runs $2,200 a month, split evenly between us. I handle most of the utilities since my work truck is parked in our driveway, and I've got my tools and equipment stored in the garage we converted to a workshop. The arrangement worked well for both of us, or so I thought. Around the 18-month mark of living together, things started shifting. Her friends began making comments, small digs at first, easy to brush off. Must be nice to set your own hours. Do you ever have to wear anything other than work boots? Bryce is so handy, like having a personal handyman around. Always delivered with a laugh, always just ambiguous enough to deny if I called it out. Melissa would laugh along, sometimes adding her own comment. He's very practical about work. He's not really a suit and tie kind of guy. It bothered me, but I figured it was just her way of fitting in with them. These women had been friends since college, and breaking into an established group dynamic isn't easy. Then about 10 months ago, the comments got sharper. Brittany Wells, the investment banker, who seemed to lead their group, started openly questioning my career during dinner parties. "So, you're basically self-employed. Must be tough not having benefits. Don't you worry about the ceiling in trades work? What happens when you're too old to crawl around in attics?" I'd answer politely, explain how skilled trades work, mention my commercial contracts and client retention rate. I've got steady relationships with 3 property management companies and a couple of general contractors who call me for electrical work on their bigger projects. None of that seemed to matter to them. They'd already decided I was beneath their corporate standards. Melissa would stay quiet during these exchanges, or worse, she'd change the subject in a way that felt like agreement. Sometimes she'd catch my eye afterward and give me an apologetic look, but she never actually defended me in the moment. The house we'd bought together became another point of contention. I'd done most of the renovation work myself, rewired the electrical system to bring it up to current code, upgraded our HVAC with a more efficient heat pump system, refinished the hardwood floors that were hidden under old carpet, saved us probably $15,000 in contractor fees and increased the home's value significantly. But when her friends came over, I could hear the undertone in how she described the work. Bryce did all this himself, like it was a cute hobby instead of professional-grade renovations. I started declining invitations to their events, told her I had project deadlines or early morning jobs, which was often true. Commercial clients expect you on site by 7 a.m., and residential emergency calls don't wait for convenient timing. She'd go without me, come home later and later, sometimes after midnight. I'd ask how it went. She'd give vague answers. It was fine, just the usual networking. You didn't miss anything important. The shift became more obvious during family gatherings, too. When we'd visit her parents or mine, she used to brag about my work, show pictures of projects I'd completed. That stopped. Instead, she'd focus on her own job, her marketing campaigns, her promotion track. If someone asked about my business, she'd give short answers and change the subject. I noticed she'd started dressing differently for our casual dates too. More corporate casual, like she was trying to elevate both of us to match her friend's aesthetic. When I'd show up in clean jeans and a polo shirt, she'd sometimes suggest I change into khakis or ask if I had anything a little nicer for wherever we were going. The financial dynamic shifted as well. We'd always split major expenses evenly, but she started making comments about investment in our future that sounded like coded criticism of my work. She'd mentioned 401k matching at her job, health insurance benefits, paid time off. Things that freelance contractors don't typically get through traditional employment, though my income usually exceeded hers during busy seasons. 10 months of this gradual erosion wore me down more than I wanted to admit. I found myself second-guessing outfit choices, downplaying successful projects, avoiding mention of work around her friends. I was becoming a smaller version of myself, and I hated it. But I loved her, and I thought the phase would pass. The breaking point came during a particularly successful month. I'd landed a commercial electrical contract for a small office building renovation. The job paid well, about $25,000 for 2 weeks of work, and represented the kind of steady commercial relationship I'd been building toward. I was proud of it, excited to tell Melissa about the opportunity and what it meant for expanding that side of my business. Instead of celebrating with me, she seemed almost embarrassed when I mentioned it at dinner with her friends. Brittany immediately jumped in with questions about whether I had employees, business insurance, long-term contracts. When I explained that I work with a network of other contractors depending on project needs, she exchanged a look with the other women that clearly communicated her opinion about my lack of scalability. That night, driving home, Melissa was quiet. Finally, she said, "Maybe you should think about expanding more seriously, like hiring people, becoming a real company instead of just..." She trailed off, but the implication hung heavy between us. "Instead of just what?" I asked. "Nothing, never mind. I'm just thinking about growth opportunities." But I knew what she meant. Instead of just being a guy with tools and a truck, instead of just being blue collar, instead of just being me. Last month, everything came to a head. She came home from Brittany's birthday party around midnight. I was up late finishing estimates for 3 commercial bids due the next morning, spread across the kitchen table with my laptop, calculator, and project specs. She walked in, clearly tipsy, and sat down heavily on the couch. "We need to talk about something." I saved my work and turned to face her. The look on her face told me this wasn't going to be a casual conversation. "Okay, what's up? My friends think you're just dead weight." The words hit like a punch to the gut. I felt something cold settle in my chest, but my voice stayed steady. "Excuse me? They think you're holding me back, that I'm supporting you emotionally and financially, and you're not contributing equally to the relationship. Supporting me financially? We split the mortgage 50-50. I pay for my truck, my tools, my business expenses, the utilities. You know what I mean. I'm the one with the stable job, the benefits, the career trajectory. I'm the one who plans our social life, who maintains our relationships. You just kind of exist in your own little world." I stared at her, trying to process what I was hearing. Is that what you think, or what they think? Does it matter? They see things I might not see because I'm too close to it. They have perspective. So your friend's opinion matters more than your own experience in this relationship? That's not what I said, but they have a point. You don't have ambition like I do. You're content just staying exactly where you are forever. I own a business. I have steady commercial clients. I make more than you do most years. When did building a successful trade business become a lack of ambition? It's not about money. It's about growth, about having goals beyond the next job, about building something bigger than just you and your truck. And what goals would those be? What exactly do you want me to become? I don't know. Management track, a real company with employees, something that looks like progress instead of just manual labor. The way she said manual labor cut deeper than everything else. Like my work was somehow less valuable because I use my hands instead of sitting in meetings all day. Like fixing people's heating and cooling systems, keeping their businesses running, wasn't real contribution to society. I nodded slowly, feeling a strange calm settle over me. Then don't carry me. What? If I'm dead weight, stop carrying me. Problem solved. She blinked, clearly not expecting that response. That's it? You're not going to fight for us? Fight for us? You just told me your friends convinced you I'm worthless and you agreed with them. What exactly am I fighting for here? You're twisting my words. Am I? Because it sounds like you've decided I'm not good enough and you're using your friends as cover for your own doubts. She started backpedaling, the alcohol making her words sloppy. I didn't say you're not good enough. I'm saying we might want different things long term. Maybe we're not as compatible as I thought. Okay, so let's not waste any more time pretending we are. You're just giving up? Just like that? No, I'm accepting what you just told me. You don't respect my career. You don't respect the life I've built. Your friends don't respect me at all. And you've let that poison how you see me. There's nothing left to fight for here. I stood up, started gathering my paperwork from the kitchen table. She followed me, suddenly panicked as the reality of what was happening hit her. Where are you going? Hotel tonight. I'll find a place this week. We can figure out the house situation later. You're seriously leaving over one conversation? I turned to face her, kept my voice level. This wasn't one conversation, Melissa. This was 10 months of small cuts that you finally admitted were intentional. I'm just saving us both the time. This is ridiculous. You're being dramatic. Maybe, but I'm also being honest. You want someone who matches your idea of ambition? Go find them. I'm not going to spend another year being compared to Brittany's boyfriend and found lacking. I went to the bedroom, pulled my overnight bag from the closet, started packing basics, work clothes, toiletries, my laptop charger. She stood in the doorway, tears starting to form, saying we should talk more, that she was drunk and didn't mean it the way it sounded. The thing is, I said, folding a clean shirt, I think you meant exactly what you said. You've been thinking it for months, and tonight you finally said it out loud. I appreciate the honesty, even if it came out wrong. I was frustrated about work stuff. I took it out on you. That's not fair, and I know it. Work frustration doesn't make you question your partner's worth for 10 months. That comes from somewhere else. I finished. Packing, grabbed my work laptop and project files from the kitchen table. She was crying now, reaching for my arm, asking me to just sleep on it, to talk in the morning when we were both thinking clearly. I walked past her to the door, keys in hand. Tell your friends they won. Bryce, please. I left before she could finish the sentence. Drove to a Hampton Inn near the airport, checked in, sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall until sunrise. Kept replaying the conversation, analyzing every word, wondering if I'd overreacted. By morning, I'd convinced myself I'd made the right call. If someone tells you who they are, believe them. She'd told me I wasn't enough. Everything after that was just noise. I called in sick to my morning job, spent the day looking at apartments online, found a month-to-month furnished place downtown by Wednesday. 1 bedroom, decent neighborhood, close enough to my regular clients. Not ideal, but functional for what I needed. Started moving my stuff out over the next few days when she was at work. Tools first, then clothes, then the personal items that mattered. Left my key on the kitchen counter next to the spare garage door opener on Friday afternoon. She called within an hour of finding them. Can we please talk face to face? Not sure what there is to talk about. I was drunk. I was frustrated about work pressures. I took it out on you and said things I didn't mean. Which part didn't you mean? The dead weight part? The part where your friends think I'm not ambitious enough? Or the part where you agreed with them? All of it. I was just venting frustrations and it came out completely wrong. For 10 months? What? Your friends have been making comments about me for 10 months. You've participated in those comments, laughed along, sometimes added your own. This wasn't one drunk night, Melissa. She went quiet for a long moment. Then, I know I've let them influence me too much. I know I should have defended you more. I'm sorry. I appreciate that. But sorry doesn't fix the fact that you let them convince you I'm inadequate, that you started seeing me through their eyes instead of your own. I don't believe that. Not really. I know you're not inadequate. Then why say it? Why agree with them that I'm dead weight? Because they kept saying it, and I started wondering if maybe they were right, but they're not. I know they're not now. How long did you wonder? How long were you comparing me to their boyfriends and deciding I didn't measure up? She didn't answer, which was answer enough. That's what I thought. I hope you find someone who meets their standards. I'm done trying to. I hung up before she could respond. She texted me over the next several days, long paragraphs about how she'd messed up, how she wanted to fix things, how she'd set boundaries with her friends and make it right. I read them all but didn't respond. What was there to say? You can't unring a bell, and you can't unfeel the disrespect once it's been voiced. Then about a week later, I got a message from an unknown number. This is Heather Mills, Melissa's friend from the group. We need to talk. Call me when you get this. I almost deleted it, but curiosity got the better of me. I called during my lunch break, sitting in my truck outside a job site. "Thanks for calling back," she said. She sounded different than she had at the parties, less performative, more genuine. "What do you want?" "I wanted to apologize and explain something you should know about that night." "I'm listening." "After you left the house, Melissa came back to Brittany's party. She was upset, crying, telling us what had happened. We were all supportive at first, saying it would be fine, that you'd come back, that couples fight. Okay. Then Brittany said something that changed everything. She said, "Well, now you can finally date someone with real potential. Like your leaving was this great opportunity she'd been waiting for." Sounds about right for her. But here's the thing that I think you should know. Melissa completely froze when she heard that. Like, the crying stopped, and she just stared at Brittany with this look I'd never seen before. I waited for her to continue. Melissa said, "What did you just say?" And Brittany repeated it, all proud of herself. Said now Melissa could find someone with real ambition, real career growth potential, someone who actually matched her level. And Melissa just kept staring at her. Then she said, very quietly, "I just lost someone I love because I listened to you." The whole room went dead silent. Then she grabbed her purse and left. Just walked out without saying another word. I felt something shift in my chest, but I kept my voice neutral. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I'm part of the problem. We all are. We judged you for not having the same corporate ladder lifestyle we're used to, for being content with skilled work, for not performing ambition the way we expected men to perform it, and we pressured her until something broke. She's an adult. She made her own choices. I know. I'm not trying to excuse her decisions, but I wanted you to know that she regrets it, really regrets it, and I wanted to apologize for my part in creating that toxic environment. Apology noted. Doesn't change anything, though. I know, but for what it's worth, I looked up your business after all this happened. Your client reviews are incredible. Your work portfolio is impressive. You're not dead weight at all. You're just not conventional corporate success, and we couldn't see past our own narrow definition of what matters." She paused, and I could hear traffic in the background on her end. "She misses you. She's been miserable since you left. Won't stop talking about how badly she messed up." "Not my problem anymore." "Fair enough. I just thought you should know the full context of what happened that night, how quickly she realized what she'd lost." After she hung up, I sat in my truck for a while, processing that information. Part of me felt vindicated. Melissa had realized immediately what her friends had cost her. But it didn't change the fundamental issue. She'd let them poison her perception of me for 10 months. She'd participated in their judgment, laughed at their jokes at my expense, questioned my worth because they told her to. The revelation about Brittany's comment was perfect in a way. It showed exactly what kind of people Melissa had been taking advice from, what kind of toxic environment she'd been marinating in. Sometimes people need that stark moment of clarity to see what's been obvious to everyone else. Over the next few weeks, I focused on work, landed another commercial project, this one retrofitting the electrical system in a small medical office. Nothing huge, but steady money and the kind of relationship that leads to referrals. Funny how much mental energy I had for pursuing business opportunities when I wasn't constantly defending my career choices at dinner parties. Melissa kept trying to reach out. Texts, calls, even showed up at the coffee shop near my apartment one morning. I saw her through the window, pretended not to notice, went to a different place. Maybe childish, but I wasn't ready to deal with her regret and guilt. Her remorse didn't erase the months of disrespect. 2 months after we split, I got invited to speak on a panel at a Nashville home and building expo. The topic was modern HVAC solutions for energy efficiency. Not glamorous, but the kind of industry recognition that matters in my field. I almost declined, but my business partner Travis convinced me it would be good for networking and potential commercial leads. The panel went well. Afterward, I was exchanging business cards with potential commercial clients, discussing upcoming projects when I saw her. Melissa was there with her company. They'd sponsored one of the vendor booths promoting digital marketing services for home improvement businesses. We made eye contact across the exhibition hall. She looked surprised to see me there, maybe not realizing this was the kind of professional event I'd participate in. She started walking toward me, and I considered leaving, but that felt cowardly. I waited. Hey, didn't know you'd be here. Company booth. You were great on the panel. Thanks. Awkward silence. She looked tired, thinner than I remembered, like she hadn't been sleeping well. "How have you been?" she asked. "Busy, good projects coming in." "That's great. I'm glad to hear it." More silence. People were milling around us, the expo buzz filling the gaps in our conversation. "I've been wanting to talk to you," she said. "I know. I've been avoiding it." "Yeah, I noticed. Look, can we get coffee or something, somewhere quieter?" I thought about saying no, about walking away and keeping the clean break. But I was curious, and maybe some part of me still hoped for closure that felt complete. "Sure, there's a place across the street." We left the expo, walked to a quiet cafe, ordered drinks we didn't really want, sat across from each other in a corner booth. The afternoon light coming through the windows made everything feel surreal. "I'm sorry," she started. "I've said it before, but I need to say it again. I was wrong about everything, about how I treated you, about listening to my friends, about not seeing your value." "Okay. Is that all you're going to say?" "What do you want me to say? That it's fine?" "It's not fine. You told me I was dead weight. You let your friends tear me down for months. You made me feel like I wasn't enough." "I know, and I hate myself for it. I've spent the last 2 months realizing how much I took you for granted, how good you actually were for me." "Past tense? Were." She flinched. "Yeah, were. Because I ruined it." "So what now? You apologize and we're supposed to go back to normal?" "No, I don't expect that. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. How wrong I was. How much I let other people's opinions matter more than my own experience with you." I sipped my coffee, studied her face. She looked genuinely remorseful, but remorse doesn't undo damage. "You looked confident when you first saw me today at the expo," I said. "Yeah. That's because I am confident. Or at least I'm getting there. I'm not walking on eggshells wondering if I'm successful enough or ambitious enough for someone else's standards. I'm just doing my work and living my life. I'm glad. You deserve that. So do you. But you're not going to find it if you keep letting your friends define your worth and everyone else's." "I know. I've actually been distancing myself from them since that night, since I realized what they'd done to my perception of you." "Good. That dynamic was toxic." "It was. I can see that now." We talked for another hour about what went wrong, about what we could have done differently. She told me she'd started therapy, working through her people-pleasing tendencies and why she'd let peer pressure override her own judgment. I told her about the business opportunities that had opened up since I'd stopped spending mental energy on social performance. By the end, we both knew there wasn't any path forward romantically. Too much damage, too much resentment on my side, too much guilt on hers. But there was something valuable in the conversation, a kind of closure that felt honest. "I hope you find someone who sees you the way you deserve to be seen," she said as we stood to leave. "I hope you learn to trust your own judgment instead of outsourcing it to other people." We hugged briefly, awkward but not bitter. Then we went our separate ways. That was 4 months ago. We haven't spoken since. I heard through mutual acquaintances that she got promoted at work, also that she's been dating someone new, someone from her company with the same corporate structures she thought she wanted. Oh, Dao. Felt nothing hearing that. No jealousy, no regret, just acknowledgement that we're both moving forward separately. I've been seeing someone for the past 2 months, Jordan Campbell, an interior designer who understands the construction world, gets the seasonal income cycles, respects skilled trades. We met when she hired me for electrical work on a client's kitchen renovation. She actually lights up when she talks about my projects with other people, shows genuine interest in the technical aspects of what I do. That's the difference. That's what I didn't know I was missing before. Melissa never lit up talking about my work. She tolerated it, explained it away, sometimes apologized for it, but never celebrated it. Last week I ran into Ashley Price, one of Melissa's former friends, at a restaurant. She came up to me as I was leaving. "I wanted to apologize for how we treated you," she said. "We were judgmental, and you didn't deserve it." "Thanks. That means something. I'm not friends with most of them anymore, including Brittany. Turns out when you're that critical of everyone, eventually you run out of people willing to put up with it. That's usually how it goes. You seem like you're doing well." "I am. Good. You earned it." The thing about the dead weight comment that still gets me sometimes is how efficiently it revealed everything. 3 years of relationship reduced to 2 words that exposed a fundamental lack of respect. In some ways, I'm grateful she said it. Saved me from wasting more time in something that was already broken. "Then don't carry me" was the best thing I ever said in that relationship. It took the power away from her and her friends, gave it back to me. Let me walk away with dignity instead of begging to be seen differently. I learned that walking away with self-respect beats fighting for scraps of validation every single time. I learned that the right person will celebrate your path, not compare it to others. And I learned that dead weight says more about the person saying it than the person they're describing. Sometimes you have to be willing to let go of what's not working to make space for what will.